Welcome back to Hugh Loving Life. I'm Michelle with your Spiritual Laws of Life by Harold Klemp. See? Okay, it's the new edition. It's beautiful. And we are going to talk about the law of life or Dharma today. So I'm going to read some and then comment, but this is by Harold Klemp. And it's really interesting. The law of life. I think that's something that we all might want to know. All right. The law of life, the righteousness of life, doing what is right. The root word of righteousness is right. The code of conduct that sustains soul. All right. We begin to have experiences with the light and sound of God, and thus we develop a greater understanding of the spiritual laws of life. Knowing these laws, we can then make our own life easier. So we're having experiences with the light and sound of God. Like Moses saw the burning bush, other people have heard sounds, and you guys all will experience similar things, not necessarily a bush on fire, but seeing or hearing things that is the voice of God. That's incredible. So don't be surprised, if you do. Each new experience, each new situation of life widens the outlook of the Chela or student and brings about a subtle transformation within themselves. Thus, the nature of every Chela who is earnest and serious about the works of Ek or Eckankar is changing constantly. So you cannot help but change as you grow and learn about the spiritual laws as well as yourself through the various discourses. If you ever sign up for Eckankar, you receive one book a year, and they're divided into 12 different chapters, which you are not to read ahead in. You literally take one chapter each month, could be like 12 pages, sometimes a little less, a little more, and you take the month to digest and understand it. So there's a constant change, but it's slow. It's not like here's all the information, read it. No, you're unfolding slowly, which is so much better. Okay. So you're not only changing on the account of the conditions of life, but by the constant addition of new impressions, the structure of the mind becomes even more diverse and complex. Whether it is called progress or degeneration depends upon how one looks at it. But it has to be admitted that this is the law of life, in which the spiritual and the psychic coordinate and balance one another in the world of the spirito-materialistic, where soul must serve out its time for perfection. Yep, we got to keep going here until we get it right. That could be thousands of lifetimes. Okay. This is a fast track, though. You get a lot more help as an Eckist. This is another of the laws of life. As one person is raised spiritually, so are all others. Oh, okay. That's nice. Why me, Lord, is the age-old question we ask God. It is a form of prayer. It covers up our ignorance of the laws of life. Problems with life occur when we don't understand the laws of Ek, the laws of spirit. So if we don't understand that, karma exists and we're selfish people, then we might continue to make negative karma, not realizing not only are we harming someone else, which is horrific, but we're harming ourselves too, because everything you do has to be paid back. Every issue of life is determined not by external conditions and things, but by one's consciousness. So within, so without, out. I was going to say thoth, tote, the emerald tablets of tote. So within, so without. It's true. So what you raise your consciousness to will eventually reflect in the 3D or 1D physical realm. For example, the body in and of itself has no power, no intelligence, and is not responsible for its actions. A hand left to itself would remain where it is forever. There must be something to move it, and that's something we call I or spirit. That I determines how the hand will be used. The hand cannot determine that in and of itself. The hand exists as an effect or as a form and responds to direction. As a vehicle or tool, it is obedient to us. and we impart to it whatever usefulness it has. So we're commanding the hand to move. I'm holding the book. Okay. I'm waving. I chose that. The hand's not just going, oh, okay. Unfortunately, some people with different ailments have that condition, but typically that's not the case. This idea can be applied to other parts of the body. The consciousness that formed the body in the beginning, the consciousness that formed the body in the beginning is the consciousness that maintains and sustains it. God gave us dominion through consciousness. And this consciousness, which is the creative principle of our body, must also be its sustaining and maintaining principle, our consciousness. What is that? Once you have this principle, you have caught the entire principle of life. Literally, this is the law of life, the substance, the activity, the intelligent direction of life, which is within man or woman, all of us. It is the law of life, of all life, to either progress or degenerate. All right. So it's empowering to think about that because that's in our hands, or consciousness, I should say. The law of life, or in a simpler term, the law of realization, is that certain principle within each person which reverses itself when they make an effort to know God. You seek God in a manner which is not seeking it. You seek it by opening your own inner self to it and letting it direct your life as it desires. Oh boy. Okay, so let go, let God, turn it over, be led. It is an inner awareness that you gain through a certain relenting grace and understanding, and turning it over. And how do you know what that consciousness is that you want to have lead you? That's a good question. Maybe there'll be some more information there. But for me, it's just like the Wu Wei of the Taoists, kind of like being led, or an idea might come in and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to go do that right now. Okay. Even if it's inconvenient, sometimes it's so inconvenient. But when I go with it, it always ends up better. The law, which all seek to know, is the great principle of life. Its simplicity is amazing, for it is summed up in this statement: soul exists. And this is a big one. Soul exists because God loves it. You exist because you're loved. In other words, all life exists because God so wills it. This is the very foundation of life, the whole of the philosophy of Eckankar. There is nothing more and nothing less. All life is built upon this basic principle of God. If soul did not exist, there would be no life anywhere on earth or on any of the planets, nor on the many planes throughout the universe of God. Planes of existence have life too, even without a corporeal form. Respect for life must thus begin with us. Unless we recognize and come to love ourselves as a special being in the scheme of creation, we have a lot to learn about the law of life that Rebazar Tars revealed to the seeker in Stranger by the River. You and I are our soul. In its pure form, nothing is more elegant or regal than soul, for it is the handiwork of the Creator. A saint, however, is a model of humility. Humble, beautiful. I like again to suggest that people watch that 1980s show with Michael Landon, Highway to Heaven. And thank you, Mary and Jerry, for getting me back onto that show because it is such a wonderful show, TV show of, well, they say it's an angel, but I look at it, Michael Landon's character, as an Eck master who is helping people. He's so humble and loving. It's a wonderful show. I'd always had the sense that the law of life was just, and it is just. At some point in our lives, our attitudes and actions come back to us, giving each of us the experiences that we have earned. Okay. The purpose of these experiences is to make us more conscious of why we are actually here. Gradually, we learn that it's not just to tread water while we put in our time, it is to become what? A co-worker with God, source, love, all that is, Sugmad. The law of life provides the way to higher consciousness as surely as the moth is given away out of the cocoon. I have no objections to someone doing whatever he has to do to survive because whatever is done is balanced out with the law of life. There will come a time when life requires full payment for whatever was extracted from it. So clearly, you don't want to harm anyone else, but whatever you do, there will be some kind of growth and you eventually will have lessons. And obviously, you have to pay back your karma. Um, so there's that. The law of life is that you must earn everything that you get in the true coin. Ek does provide a shortcut, or Eckankar provides a shortcut to spiritual freedom, of course, but it is only a shortcut, not instant, undeserved entry. The law of life still requires that an individual repay as many of the karmic debts as needed to realize the reason for his troubles. So, whatever you're going through, know that there's a reason for it. You might have been a naughty, 20,000 years ago. Just saying. No one wants to say, oh, yeah, that's, it's their fault, their fault. Well, what did you do to them in a different lifetime, right? The spiritual laws on each higher plane support the laws below, but are of a finer composition. In addition, there is a higher element to these laws, which often seem to be a reversal of the laws which the initiate has learned during his previous initiation. So, he must come into agreement with the laws of the new plane which he has entered. In doing so, he learns to become more flexible because life requires it of all who would reach the sanctuary of the Sugma, the true still point. Home of, well, the source God, Sugma energy, where it's the purest, okay? This is the law of life in that nothing is available unless you first obtain wisdom through the treasures stored within yourself, because you have all the treasures within. These in turn can be shared abundantly with others, bringing them happiness. Look inwardly as you go to sleep tonight. Look for the guidance of the Holy or Divine Spirit, because this is the voice of God. Look for the inner guide, the Dream Master, the Mahanta, to show you how to understand the voice of the Holy Divine Spirit as it comes to teach you how the laws of life can make yours a better one in every way. Wow. Yeah, getting quiet, listening, asking for that guidance, and then literally being quiet and listening, right? Not the monkey mind, but listening. That was a lot of reading, but I hope it was useful. You guys, I really appreciate your being here too. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And the next law of life that I will record will be the law of reciprocity. That'll be interesting too. I love this book. Again, The Spiritual Laws of Life, Harold Klemp. Okay, newest edition. So take care and make it a beautiful day. Okay, mwah.